Shocking new developments regarding that Iran payment. State Department admitting the $400 million payment to Iran was used as, quote, leverage to help get those hostages released. This after, of course, denying this for months to Congressman Mark Meadows, who has been calling this ransom from the very start. Congressman, they've all but admitted it, although they're still pushing back on using the R word. They've used leverage. They've used every other thing in the dictionary and the thesaurus. So now that we've come this far, now that the State Department has played this out to the point where there's so much pressure, in part because of representatives like you, what's the next step?
Well, I think the next step is to make sure that it doesn't ever happen again. We've had really a policy that says we don't negotiate with terrorists or those regimes that support terrorism, and yet here we are. They're not wanting to use the ransom word, but you and I and the vast majority of the American people know that it was indeed a ransom. You know, at first there was no correlation. Now they're saying, well, they used it as leverage. We know it was ransom. The problem is that it's going to start really a trend on foreign policy where we're going to have to start negotiating with terrorists. We already saw Bergdahl, and we let 5 terrorists loose for him. We've got to stop it. We've got to make sure that the State Department is held accountable. And certainly we need to make sure that Hillary Clinton either acknowledges that it was ransom and that she won't continue. Where is she? She's been silent on all of this, and it's time that she speaks up as well. Yeah,
it would be good, and I think, you know, the same sort of pressure that got finally someone at the State Department to fess up probably is occurring within her own campaign as well, and it's something she has to contemplate. Of course, she'll say she had nothing to do with it, but obviously her fingerprints are all over this thing. To your point.
Well,
right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It is. Her fingerprints are all over it because she's been part of this foreign policy. And this whole $400 million didn't just pop up. This goes back to 1979. And then all of a sudden, coincidentally, we have it released in cash. In cash, mind you. And they said, well, we couldn't legally give them a check or anything else. If it was really a negotiation on an outstanding indebtedness, there would have been no prohibition against giving that. And so to send a pallet of cash, it stinks. It really is what it is. It's a ransom, and it's something that has to be stopped.
Absolutely. I want to shift topics because we have breaking news from Colin Powell. He's responding to Hillary Clinton's claims that he advised her to create a private email over dinner one night. He's saying he doesn't have a recollection of that particular conversation, although he did send her an email, and he mentioned that he was using an AOL account, but for his personal stuff, not for business. What are your thoughts on this, Congressman?
Well, this is this typical. Hillary continues to talk about a server that, you know, she's putting blame on everyone else other than herself. She's lied to the American people. Now she's lying about what someone else told her to do. She knew what classified information was. She knew that she had a responsibility, and yet here she is trying to blame everybody else for her improper behavior. I applaud Secretary Colin Powell for coming out and saying he didn't recall that. It's a nice way of saying, you know, perhaps she was not telling the truth and trying to place blame on him as well.
Well, he's a master diplomat. We know that. We both know that. What about these FBI notes? Apparently this story emanated because of those FBI notes. Any likelihood any other breakthroughs can come through? I know that some things can't be articulated to the public, but obviously this was.
Well, you know, they're heavily redacted, and it's interesting for all of this to not be a national security risk and it to be so heavily redacted that I can't even look at it with my clearance. It says that there's something not legitimate in terms of the line of discourse that is coming from Hillary Clinton. She continues to walk back that, you know, she did nothing improper. But yet one of the things that hasn't been reported, Charles, is that in the middle of sworn testimony, she's real quick to invoke, well, we need to do that in a different setting. We need to do that in a classified setting. So she knows on the back and forth with members of Congress to invoke it, but somehow she didn't on a private email server.
Representative Meadows, have a great weekend. Thank you very much.
It's great to be with you. Thanks, Charles.
Same here.